Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tracy Mayhew and I write contemporary romances and fantasy fiction. First things first, Happy New Year. It's 2026, can you believe it? I'm not sure I can. 2025 was a hard one for me. It was a bit of a roller coaster if I'm honest, and as you can tell from the thumbnail of this video is going to be all about my 2025 wrap up and finally putting that year to bed, hopefully, because I'm moving on to hopefully better and brighter things this year. This video is not going to be about my 2026 goals. It is just solely going to be about my wins, my results, what went well for me in 2025, what didn't go quite so well for me in 2025. So if you want to know about my goals for 2026 for this year, you're going to see that in another video in a couple of weeks time, mostly because I am still trying to figure out what I want to do in the next few months and then in the coming months of this year. So let's start with 2025. I've spent the last couple of days, well, more like the last week, looking back and thinking about 2025, and I used a thing called a wrap review, and I learnt about this on YouTube from another YouTuber called Matt Ragland, who every year he does a wrap review. I'll leave a link to his video down below if you're interested in doing a similar thing for yourself. You should definitely check that video out. So wrap basically stands for wins, results, alignment and pivots. This video is going to focus on the first two, so I'm going to be focusing on my wins and my results. In my next video, or the next couple of videos, when I talk about 2026, I will be talking about alignment stages and things I want to pivot on for this year. Let's talk about 2025. So one of the first things, before I start, just to let you know, I am working from some notes. So if I keep looking down, that's why. I don't want to forget anything that I want to talk about. So one of my first wins, which was early in 2025, was publishing the prequel novella to the Romance in the Lake series, publishing Bella Notte. I think I published this somewhere in April. This saw the completion of the Romance in the Lake series. It was a story I've been thinking about and percolating on for many years, mostly because I love Jackie and Vinny. Jackie and Vinny are Sophia's mum and dad in the series. They run the Green Dragon pub. They're kind of like the matriarch and patriarch of the village, particularly for Jess, who is the main character in All I Want for Christmas. I have a real soft spot for Jackie and Vinny, so their story had to come. And so I finally published that one and got that out into the world. Another thing that was a real win for me was finally getting out and about with my books. Standing at a table at book fairs and craft fairs was a real moment for me when I kind of thought, yes, I am an author. Those days that I got to do that, I was an author first, teacher second, and I was more than happy and more than proud to stand there. I did my first book fair in September. I was going to do my first event in July, but that one got cancelled, so I moved that to the end of September, which meant that Marlow Indie Book Fair was my first, and I enjoyed it. I met so many nice people, so many fellow authors whose books I've since fallen in love with, and I would recommend that if anyone is thinking about getting out there, if you've got the confidence to do it, or you think you might have the confidence to do it, take a chance. You get to meet readers, you get to meet fellow authors. Can't recommend doing something like that enough. Another thing that went really well for me, even though it was a bit ad hoc and kind of all over the place at times because of health and things like that, which I'll talk about in a minute, was I did keep up somewhat of a publishing schedule on YouTube. I'd say the first 3/4 of the year was probably my better time on YouTube with publishing and keeping to a schedule. Obviously, towards the end of the year, things were starting to get on top of me. And I did end up taking an extended break right at the end, from about November to the end of the year. But I needed that break and I feel much better for it. So I don't feel guilt about it. I did at first, but I don't anymore. I'm giving myself grace for that. But keeping up somewhat of a publishing schedule and trying to learn more about YouTube was again another win for me. So I was more than happy with that. I made more royalties on my books this year than I did last year, which is fantastic, because sometimes you don't always, unless you get that sort of like big picture view, you don't always on a day-to-day basis feel like you're making as much money as you feel like you should be making. So to get that confirmation was good. I was happy with that. So that was a win. I'm making progress on Rivers of Blood and Fire. I know it has kind of been a long time coming, because I think I published The Rising Storm maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It has been a long time coming, but I feel like with this book, and I've said it in previous Behind the Writing Desk videos, I feel a lot of pressure with this book. All of my own making, for sure, but that pressure had started to get to me, I think, until I just kind of thought towards the end of August, I just kind of thought, I'm going to do it. I've got to start planning this book. Otherwise, it's never going to get written. If I don't do it, who's going to do it? So I knew I needed to get on with it. So I just started ploughing ahead with that. And I'm pleased with I'm doing this in a different way than I would normally do. And I think I've spoken about this in previous videos before. Usually I wouldn't start writing a book until I have the whole plan mapped out for me. I know exactly where I'm going. Now, although I know how the ending is going to be, for a long time I didn't, but I started planning the book anyway. And then I started writing the book. And I haven't planned the whole book this time around, but I am writing as I'm planning. I'm at the point now where I finished part 1 of the story. It's written in 3 parts. I don't think I have finished it, actually. I thought I had finished it, and then I had one of those annoying moments where you kind of falling asleep and you get a vision. So now I've got to write another chapter. But anyway, almost finished part 1. I have no more plan left. I now have to look at planning. So that's my next step, is concentrating on planning at least the next 5 to 10 chapters. At least then I've got somewhere to go. And we'll just see how that goes. I'm just writing as I feel like it at the moment. Like, if I feel like I've only planned 2 chapters, but I feel like I need to write those chapters, then that's what I'll do. And then I'll just plan the next couple of chapters. As I say, this is very different from how I usually do it. But right now, it seems to be working for me. And I'm happy with that. As long as I can get words on the page, more than happy with that. And lastly, another thing that I was really happy with is we got to go on a few trips out. We got to go to the Lake District with some family. I went to Arundel and got to see the castle, which I've been itching to see for ages. It's also sparked a possible idea for a new story, but more on that in another time. We also went to the Jane Austen House and Museum, and it was great because it was the 250th year of her birth, so that was really special to go there. And we also discovered, I also discovered a local writing retreat where I could just go. It's like a little cottage in the woods. It's lovely. It's perfect. That's something to be really pleased with going forward. I've already booked a 5-day writing retreat next year in May, I think, that I'm really looking forward. Not next year, this year, that I'm really looking forward to. In other areas of my life, as I said in my last video, I think I've been having health issues this year. Well, for the last couple of years, I've been referred now to neurology, so I'm waiting for a neurology referral, which hasn't come through, so we'll be chasing that up in a few days when, things start to go back to normal after New Year's and Christmas and stuff. So, health-wise, that has affected my writing because I get very tired. I get headaches more frequently than I have done for a while. That has a knock-on effect. It kind of leaves me feeling a bit burnt out, and like lack of motivation. I'm trying to deal with that at the moment. I'm taking more walks of a morning, trying to do more exercise, but obviously I'm limited because of my what I can do. But it is what it is, so you just have to try and find ways to work with it, and that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. But I'm thinking if I could just aim for 1 to 500 words a day on those days, I can at least make some progress. Even if they're not great words, I can then work with them, at a later date when I do the editing. So that's something that I'm thinking about for this year as well. Another thing that happened that really put spanners in the works was we lost our cat, one of our cats, Ellie, in March, and then we lost Jem in November. And I think at that point, that coincided with my break from social media, from YouTube, because I kind of got to that point and I was done. I was just like, let's just get the year over with and I can start fresh in 2026. So hopefully that's what's happening. So it's not been a great year all around. There has been some highs, there's been some very low lows, but I guess that's just the nature of life, isn't it? So Hopefully 2026 will be a better year. How was your 2025? Let me know in the comments. I'd be really interested to hear your successes, your wins. And with that said, that's it for this video. I hope you will stick around. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, like, follow, share, and I'll see you next time in the next video. See you later. Bye.